the basement, and my nose always runs when I'm down here, and then I always look like a cokehead when I'm on the show. And I'm like far from exciting.
All right, I think from now they're going to hear us live. I think they should be able to. Boom. Okay. Sorry about that. Encoder.
Why is my
yeah. Where did you go, Katie?
Is it that delayed? Oh God, let me look again.
Oh, is it really? Oh man,
Yeah. Oh my God, hold on.
that's hilarious. Yeah, we'll let you reset there. Well, welcome everybody. I had a little encoder issue there from the last stream, but we got that, I think, situated and looking good. There's Katie. She's back.
Hi.
I was beginning to wonder if you just decided to cut out. Maybe you got cold feet.
No, sorry.
Well, I hear that you're in a particularly lovely mood today.
Yes. Crabby.
What is going on?
So the Daily Beast decided this week that they were gonna do. Look at my stream. It's super bad.
It's choppy. I guess your sun went out.
It's super choppy. I'll be right back.
Sure. Anyway, welcome guys. We're gonna run through, as always, this week in newsdom first, and then we've got kind of a very interesting subject to talk about. It's one that I hadn't heard of before, but it's fascinating, and Katie's done a lot of work on that, and she's actually going to be talking about a article that she was featured in this past week. She worked with the Daily Beast, and that's what's kind of got her riled up a little bit. So we'll let her explain her tango with the
I'm
Beast
back.
this week. Welcome back.
Thanks. So, the free birth stuff, I think I told you guys that it went viral, and lots of people have read this. And the thing is that before I even wrote the pieces, the screenshots of this specific birth were all over Facebook. And because of that, the mother's name was public, and a lot of people were harassing her. And I happened to publish some pieces, and I think that kind of amplified people's boldness, and it kind of just took on a life of its own. Anyway, somehow the Daily Beast decided that they were going to write a piece about the whole blow up between the mother and Emily and Free Birth Society and the skeptic community that was following them, and it's just a mess. So anyway, this reporter right, from the Daily Beast contacts me, and her name is Emily Sugarman, and she wants to talk to me about, really why I write about the Free Birth Society and all about this whole community. And I give her everything I have. I provide her the entire information about the woman's birth and why I wrote about it, and really why I was writing about it, why I was passionate about exposing pseudoscience. And she just decided that she was going to admit in her story half of the woman's labor and really important details. In her article, she basically says, And on the third day, she woke up and she spilled water and she realized her water broke and she had to go to the hospital. Like, that's not how it happened at all. And so it ended, and she ended up like interviewing Emily. And of course, Emily was like, I never spoke to the mom. And the mom was like, I never spoke to Emily. And it's just, it was all just lies, because earlier this week we found a ton of screenshots of former members basically saying that they knew that the two were communicating because Emily told them that. But the Daily Beast just did a bullshit job of it. Sorry for my French. And they just made the woman look like a martyr for, and a grieving mother. The woman looked like a martyr for, and a grieving mother for like losing her child. And yes, she lost her child, right? Like yes, she's grieving, but that was a preventable death. And if anyone can't see the ridiculousness of this in 2018, to like deny your child your fetus prenatal care and yourself.
She killed her child. I would say,
yes. So. And the mom is like, I got home from the hospital and I had 30 messages and everyone was mad at me. And I'm thinking, you stupid bitch. Like, before I even got this article and got this information, you posted your story on Facebook, on Instagram, and in Facebook groups.
Yep.
You put this out there.
Attention.
Right. And you put it out there for everyone to see, and you didn't hide your name. You put your name out there. I redacted the mom's information.
Yeah. Well,
I'm so...
Like I said, it's a good thing. It'll aid in the roasting of these next 5 stories that we're gonna cover really quickly.
So anyway, the Daily Beast is a piece of shit. Okay.
Love it. All right. Let's see here what we've got. Let me go to this. First story that I have today is, it's not really that, in the spirit of newsdom. It's not, funny with a dumb twist to it. This is something that I think is just absolutely ridiculous, and I don't understand the logic behind it. But in this country now, we're dealing with an overwhelming opioid epidemic, right? And in the light of that, the FDA approves a new opioid that's 10 times more powerful than fentanyl. The FDA approves an exceptionally powerful opioid painkiller in spite of condemnation that the medicine could be a threat to public health. In doing so, the act of approval has promoted wider regulatory thinking for endorsing such a medicine, while the country's in the middle of a nationwide epidemic and overdoses are rife. This drug is called Disuvia, which is a tablet version of an opioid marketed for intravenous use, but it's administered under the tongue. Using an eyedropper to administer the dose, it makes the medicine perfect for military use and was a priority for the Pentagon. Now that I understand, that's in a battle setting and you need something quick, but when this gets over here to this, to the country, and it's marketed as a wider use drug, it's just gonna make everything worse. I don't get it.
Oh my God.
So
I thought we cared about ending the opioid crisis. So let's introduce more fentanyl.
Yeah, it's 10 times more powerful than fentanyl.
And isn't fentanyl what's causing all the ODs right now?
Yes, it's what killed Michael Jackson too.
No, that was propofol.
Oh yeah, that's right. Fentanyl is those are the patches, I believe.
Mm-hmm. It's a narcotic. It's like morphine. I had it when I was in labor.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. I was wrong about that. You are correct there. So I don't know. I wanted to put this in there because on one hand, the government's making a huge, at least attempt to seem like they're, invested in this opioid crisis, while at the same time bringing over something that is just going to make it worse. So.
Worse, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now let's get into some irony. I love irony. Um, I thought this was just
I love that.
fantastic.
I love.
Guy who says God sends natural disasters to punish gays has his home destroyed in a natural disaster.
Oh,
Uh,
if there was a God, that would be amazing.
there isn't anything that gets better than this when you have
No.
the only thing better than this would be seeing Pat Robertson get sucked up by a tornado and just carried off. But
Yes.
Tony Perkins, president of the anti-gay religious lobbying group, the Family Research Council, had his home destroyed by the massive flooding ravaging southern Louisiana this week. Although no one wants to celebrate a person losing their home, I think we can make an exception in this case. The
Yeah,
destruction,
yeah.
the destruction of Perkins' house isn't without irony, considering that he's claimed in the past that natural disasters are God's way of punishing an increasingly gay-friendly world. Well, either you have something you're hiding,
So,
Mr. Perkins, or you just got bitch slapped with irony.
yeah, I was just gonna ask you, like, is your gaydar going off?
Do you see the same picture that I'm looking at? No.
Yeah, he looks a little, well, I don't know.
We're gonna keep him on that side. He can stay on the
Yeah,
yeah.
he's not that cute.
We don't want him.
Ted Haggard isn't cute either,
None of them are. It's a
but I feel like the ones that are the most vocal are for sure the ones that are like the repressed gay guys that are like unwilling to deal with it because of their religion.
absolutely. You see that all the time, and it's funny because there's like a trajectory that you can see, and they all follow the same path. I mean, there isn't one televangelist I can think of that either hasn't been caught in a scandal like this, or accused in a similar scandal, or just caught up in some kind of drama without. They always fall in a particular fashion, and you would think that they would learn from the ones before them. But ever since Jim and Tammy Faye Baker back in the 70s and 80s, they just one by one they have an arc. They'll get big, and then something will happen that'll take them down. And actually, Robert Tilton, who was one of the biggest televangelists, now he's known for being the farting preacher on YouTube. But the guy that took him down, Ole Anthony, that runs that watchdog group. It caught up him, Benny Hinn, and one other guy that's on TV. But Ole Anthony will actually be on the show next week to take us through how they took down Robert Tilton. So that's going to be fun.
Wait, was Robert Tilton the guy that was just outed? Like, not outed in term, but didn't he just get in trouble?
No,
Or
Robert
no?
Tilton was he was a big televangelist in the like 2000s, late 90s, 2000s, and
Oh,
he's the guy that said that he's seen midgets grow, he's seen limbs um, get longer, and spoke in tongues a lot. But the funny part about it was they went back. Ole Anthony went back to his college, one of his old college roommates, and did an interview with him. And the college roommate said that back in college they used to practice doing what he does, like speaking in tongues, and how cool it would be to have a ministry where you don't really believe in the stuff, but you get all the money in it. So the guy had been planning this for just years, and what took him down was he would have people send in prayer, cloths and prayer requests and everything else with money in the envelope. Well, these things were sent to a bank so that the bank would take the money out and um, supposedly return the prayer requests and send them to Robert Tilton's ministry, where he would pray. Excuse me, he would pray over them. Well, Primetime went digging in the dumpster at the bank and found bags and bags and bags of all those prayer requests that the bank had just opened up and threw in the trash, and he couldn't recover from that. Which I don't know how you do recover from that, but
so he was
yeah,
throwing away the prayer requests.
yep. And I guess it's stupid things like that. The guy was making $80 million a year, $80 million, and it got all taken
No,
down by something that stupid, like just throwing away The prayer
No
request.
preacher or pastor should ever be making that kind of money.
Oh yeah. Well, now
Ever.
now they have visions that Jesus says that they need a jet, not just one
Oh,
jet, but
yeah.
three jets, three
I know.
jets
I know.
to
Well,
go.
haven't you seen whatever that Joel douchebag's name is? I hate him.
Osteen.
Joel. Oh, I hate him.
Yeah. Well, his true colors were shined during that Hurricane Harvey that hit in Texas, and he wouldn't open his church up to
I
the
saw that.
people.
Yep.
And he finally did, but it was after pressure. Like the one thing you probably should do is, especially in a day and age when religion's declining, is use every opportunity that you can to shed a good light on the church. That would
Yeah.
have been a great opportunity to say, this is exactly what Jesus would do. Open the doors, everybody come in. I'm in a stadium. You know what I mean? Like I've got plenty of room. Come on in, but nope, didn't want to deal with it. So
I feel like you know what? I totally remember that now because he was like saying, oh no, we're flooded.
yep,
And
exactly.
it turned out they weren't
Yeah,
flooded.
yeah, a lie from and the thing is, it doesn't hurt them for some reason. Jim Baker is back on TV now. Benny Hinn's back on TV. Like it does. None of these things hurt. Oh, Robert Tilton has his own YouTube channel now. He still does the same thing that he used to. Now, granted, it's not to a big of an audience, but he has no shame. He's literally back on videos asking people for money. I mean,
So dumb.
Kent Hovind, same thing with Kent Hovind. He got out of prison and went right back to I don't know, but it's not just um, places like this guy or people like this guy that get in trouble. It can get darker, and that's what you'll see in our next clip here. State representatives outline for killing non-believers in a holy war is referred to the FBI. Um, a Washington,
Whoa.
yes, a Washington state lawmaker who moonlights as a wannabe theocrat has stumbled into FBI scrutiny over a how-to guide he wrote on killing non-believers and establishing a Christian theocracy. Five-term Washington state rep Matt Shea has been circulating a manual for holy war in the United States. The four-page document titled Biblical Basis for War goes point by point over how a Christian theocrat movement could and should exterminate its opposition in a battle to win over a hypothetical holy war. Um, on the onset, Shea's holy war would issue terms of surrender to its enemies. The demands include stop all abortions, no same-sex marriages, no idolizing or occultism, no communism, and you must obey biblical law. Well, that just sounds like the most boring country on the planet. Um, if the rest of the country refuses to yield to these terms, the document advocates a final solution: kill all males.
Oh gosh.
Yes, that's what it says. That's what it says. Um, Most of the document veers into the absurd. I just want to read a couple of these things. Under things for a holy
I
army.
seriously, where did you find this?
This was linked to the last one, the irony that I just saw this kind of off to the
Okay.
side. But yeah, you would think that these would be bigger, you know, stories than they are, but they're not. But one of these things for a holy army, he
It seems
remembers
like
to include.
is
Go
he a
ahead.
state or a fed? Is he a state rep or a federal rep?
Yeah, he's a state. He's a five-term
Okay.
state rep.
Okay,
Um,
got it.
he remembers to include circumcision slash saved after sacrifice slash worship slash prayer. Um, Trying to see. Let me glance over these. It doesn't really. This one doesn't really go that much into detail, but this was inspired in a Rolling Stone article published last week. It details Shea's fantasy of creating a 51st state with freedom for guns and a rule by God. The story goes into depth on Shea as Shea tries to local, exposing his ties to local white nationalist movements, which, I mean, no surprise there. But if you go
No.
to the Rolling Stone, I guess goes into a lot more detail. But You can't do this stuff if you're a state representative, if you're anybody in politics, and not expect it to see the light of day and come back to bite you in the ass big time.
And this is in Washington State?
Yeah,
Weird.
isn't that bizarre?
I thought everyone in Washington was like smelt like patchouli and didn't bathe and didn't bathe and put sage and everything. I'm just kidding.
I mean, doesn't he just look like somebody that would be like a creepy, um, just have some kind of dark side?
He reminds me of love the show Parks and Recreation.
Oh yeah.
And there in one of the seasons, one of the characters, Ben, is doing a campaign for a congressman, and he looks just like the guy that's on that show, and the guy acts like a robot. So I'm imagining in my head that this guy talks like a robot.
He does. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't think of the guy's name. The last thing that I'll say about this is that his reasoning when they asked him about this is that he says he's showing off his historical knowledge because he claims that the Mayflower Compact was a covenant with God to advance Christianity. So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go into some
this guy, he and the free birthers just hang out.
Well, are you ready for this? Okay.
Yes.
A woman who claims to have had sex with 20 ghosts is now engaged to one. Yeah.
I was just learning today that there's these people that think they're pregnant with ghost kids.
Oh yeah, this is great. I have to get one of them on the show. But you know what's great is her name. Like her name is just oozing with woo. Okay, her name is Amethyst Realm.
Oh, of course.
She's 30 of Bristol. She claims to have had sex with at least 20 ghosts since she was a teenager, but wasn't looking for a new relationship when she went to Australia on a business trip. However, she says she changed her mind on a nature hike when she came into contact with an apparition and felt sparks like none she's ever felt before.
Gosh.
Oh, man. I just cringe reading this. It's just so...
Oh, my gosh. There was Did you see... Oh, I'm sorry. I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead, please.
There was a show on Netflix with Kathy Bates. I can't remember. It was like she ran a dispensary for weed in California, and her guy that made all the pot, I can't remember the name of the show. It's hilarious.
Was it Weeds?
No, it's like, it was just last year. It's a comedy with Kathy Bates, and she's like, she sells weed, and she's like a stoner. And the guy that makes all the pot or grows all the pot, he gets really messed up on the weed, and he like develops this like ghost relationship with Mary Jane, and he like has like ghost sex with her.
Oh man, this is
I'm sorry, I'm so off topic tonight.
It's okay. It's good. I mean, how can you really stay on topic when we're talking about a girl that's had sex with I can't. Okay, just let me read a couple. Let me read this. Okay, she says, "I could not believe it. I was happy and excited, so excited that we had to do something about it. So we headed to the Plain Lou," she told the Sun, "and well, I am now a member of the Mile High Club."
Oh my God.
She fucked a ghost on a plane.
Ew. But like,
how do
you even quantify that? Like, how do you even fuck a ghost?
You don't even have to, like, I don't even think you can, like, woo doesn't even apply because it never happened. Like, if she thinks she really got knocked up by a ghost in an airplane, there are deeper issues, like, much deeper issues here. And, I'd like to know why I'm not getting any from any ghosts. I mean, I'm getting to the point where she's been on This Morning with it's a big English talk show, but this has got to be just for attention. The
They
couple
said
are
the show is
now.
just
The article says, and this is me reading it. The couple are now choosing a ring, but they have not decided on what kind it will be. They're talking. The article's talking like this is an actual thing. Like they're literally walking around jewelry stores looking for rings.
ugh. Someone said, "Do you just click on all the clickbait articles?"
If it's got a good headline, yes, yes, absolutely, yes, absolutely, yes.
I love clickbait. I don't know why people like seriously act like clickbait is such a bad
I
thing.
don't either. It's not. I mean, it works. Like, okay, I try it
Do
now. When
people
I
that understand that even like when you write, part of getting a headline is making a link that people will actually click?
Yeah, clickbait. I've never understood why clickbait's a bad thing either. But I mean, like, this is from the Huffington Post. Like, I at least try to make sure that it's not coming from some
Right.
random.
No, and
Um,
these communities exist because there are
yeah,
literally groups of people that think they're pregnant with ghosts.
right. And you guys should know this. Like, if anybody's show that you watch, if you watch NonSequitur, I mean, this should just be nothing. I showed you tonight
Do you
before the close of the flat Earth debate, the guy that we've got coming in December that thinks that autumn, the season autumn is a hoax, that it doesn't exist.
do you think that I lost my train of thought. Oh man.
Uh,
It's gonna come back and when you're talking, I'm sorry.
that's okay. You can interrupt me. But we're gonna go on to. I've got just two more, but these two right here are. Um, guy, this is talking to the guys, right? Like, if you ever get to one of these 2 points in life, please call me, text me, write me. Just let me talk you down from one of these two really bad ideas. Because as a guy, I know that we do have high sex drives, and there are other options. And these two that you're getting ready to see should never be one of those. So please extend a message to me, and I can talk you down from it. Did you think about what you were going to say?
I know exactly where the story is going.
Oh yeah. Well, there's one that you don't that is gonna
Oh, did
yeah.
you keep one from me? Did you
I
so?
did. I kept the last one from you, but this is gonna warm us up,
Okay.
okay, guys? So get
All
ready,
right.
because in this story, um, man whose penis and testicles were bitten off and eaten by a bulldog was alone in the room with the animal and had peanut butter spread on his crotch.
Oh
Okay,
my gosh.
now there's a lot to unpack. Um,
Can you be that? Oh my god.
yeah, we're gonna try to get through this one. The next one. Here's
Like
the
he.
here's here's
Oh man.
here's the main points from this. Okay, police in Scotland found a man unconscious in a pool of his own blood. He was taken to the hospital, but his organs could not be reattached. No one has been charged with any offense. Um, and the story goes that this man, who has not been named, wonder why, is alleged to have applied peanut butter or another food spread to his crotch before his genitals were bitten off by the animal. Police in East Lothian, Scotland, were alerted after the 22-year-old man was found unconscious and fully clothed in a pool of his own blood. 22. The organs could not be reattached. They had been ingested by the dog. His condition was later stabilized. He was transferred to another hospital where he's been assisting police with their duties. There had been previous reports that the man had been held down by others at the property. However, a police source dismissed this and confirmed that the man had been alone with the dog and no others had been present on the property. And the
Ugh.
dog, in case you're wondering, the dog's name was Biggie.
Biggie.
Oh, man.
Did he call him Big Papa?
He does now. He does now.
So did like his testicles are gone?
Yeah, all of it's gone. His
Oh my
penis
gosh.
and his testicles are gone. So
And he's
that's why I
alive?
say, well, yeah. if I told you that this was sane compared to the next article that we're gonna,
oh my
the next and the
gosh.
last article we're gonna talk about. Now, next one, like physically hurt me to read. It was all I could do to get through it. And after this, I will never ever look at a grilled cheese the same way again, because you are very desperate when you get to the point where man melts his piss after having sex with a toaster.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. Jeff Gartson, 47, had been drinking several bottles of cider at his apartment in England when he suddenly felt the need to insert his genitals into the toaster's bread slot. The unmarried man told the Sunday Sport that after having a few ciders, many of his silly ideas seemed like good ones. I'll be left with the consequences. A fire damaged Belland for life. After his screams were heard, emergency services were called. When paramedics arrived, his penis was blistered and melted to the toaster.
Oh my gosh. I just don't even have words for these stories. They're so terrible. I feel like I need to go have sex with my husband so he doesn't try this.
Yes, you have to. Like, if you have to now, we understand. He had to have emergency surgery to get his penis separated from the toaster and to reopen his urethra. His genitalia is banged up and he feels that things will never be the same even after it's healed. Every time I go to tinkle, he said, I'll be reminded why it's not a good idea to put your todger in a toaster. Okay.
That was the first time you were gonna figure that
out. They end the article with Garson describes this as the most foolish idea he's ever had. Well, if there was one that was more foolish, I certainly don't want to know about it. So,
yeah.
How do you like that?
Well, at least he didn't let a bulldog bite his penis off.
That is true. Well, I don't know which is worse though. I really don't. I can't choose.
Well, this guy still has a penis. The other guy doesn't have anything.
Yeah, but it was melted to a toaster. I mean,
Ugh.
I wonder if they use the thing that you flip a grilled cheese with to.
Oh.
No. Okay.
Kyle.
Sorry. All right, that's
it. I
it.
feel like you need to go have some sex or something.
I mean, I do. That's a statement that always stands. That's a statement that I can always get behind. So, but I won't get to the point where I start looking at a toaster romantically. I don't see that happening.
Please don't.
Yeah.
You are too cute for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so that's all that I have. There were some other ones that were rough. I think I sent you the other one about the parents and their kid, that the kid died with.
Oh, yes, about the poop.
Yeah. So I'll link that in the description. You guys can go read it if you want to, but I don't advise it. Katie, what are we talking about tonight with medical kidnapping? This was something that was new to me.
So, yeah. So if you are in the skeptic world and you are into the anti-vaccine community, something that the anti-vaxxers love to talk about is when a child is taken by Child Protective Services or mandated by doctors to go through specific treatments, whether it's for cancer or if it's for, a long-term chronic health issue. But typically what happens is a parent refuses to care for that specific need. The doctors get CPS involved because the child needs the treatment. And then the parents cry, medical kidnapping.
So this is a way of essentially the state stepping in and not letting kids go without the treatment or the the medication that they need. For example, I feel like the Jehovah's Witnesses would be a good example. That if
right,
so blood transfusions.
Yes, and so there's these cases that kind of take over the media, and here's what happens: is that children that are in the middle of these cases between CPS and parents if you're familiar with the court systems, juvenile files are sealed, and Child Protective Services are not at liberty to discuss publicly anything to do with the minor child, because the minor child is protected by the law. Parents know this, and so CPS and the government is unable to present their side of the story because they can't. And so parents will find any means necessary to deliver this message to whoever will listen, to whatever echo chamber. And generally these parents are within the anti-vax community, and then the anti-vaxxers like latch onto them, and then they show up with protest signs, and it's crappy because the kids ultimately, it's usually a parent that wants to use some bullshit woo stuff to treat an illness that's going to kill their kid, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so here's the case. There's this child named Nicholas Gunderson. I don't know if you have that picture.
I do.
So here's Nick. Nick is a 13-year-old boy, and he has leukemia. And he has a very aggressive form of leukemia. It's mixed phenotype acute leukemia, or MPAL. MPAL is a combination of two different leukemias together, so it's one of the most aggressive forms of leukemia you can have. It has pretty high mortality rates for children. The best survival rates are for children. Like if adults get this form of leukemia, it's pretty deadly. However, given all of that, they have a protocol of standard of care that they use. And so Nicholas received the diagnosis of MPAL in June 2018. He is located in Long Island, New York, and he's been treated at NYU Winthrop Hospital. So Candace, his mother, has a GoFundMe set up where she gives all kinds of updates on Nicholas's care. She says that when Nicholas received the diagnosis in June, doctors misdiagnosed him and he didn't really have cancer. And so she was going to take him to other doctors to verify if he actually had cancer. Doctors said, we didn't misdiagnose him. And she said in a GoFundMe update that if she didn't agree to the treatment for him, they were going to contact Child Protective Services because he needed chemotherapy or he was going to die. Mm-hmm. So she says she reluctantly signed the form to have him go through chemo. I know, right? So the background on Candace is she's like got a online certification in some kind of woo bullshit wellness coaching. She's a vegan. She believes she's an anti-vaxxer. She's into all kinds of, well, I think she's an anti-vaxxer. That part I'm not sure. But her plans for Nicholas were to use holistic medicine, juice, diet, and doctors with alternative therapy to keep his cancer in remission. Sounds like that to me sounds like a death sentence, right?
Absolutely.
So, right. So doctors were like, she's all like, chemotherapy is toxic. And she has this GoFundMe account where she's going on and on and on about how sick he got from chemotherapy. And obviously, no shit, you're going to get sick from chemotherapy. I mean, that's the whole point of chemotherapy. So, you can definitely empathize with her that her child got sick from it, but he's also dying of something. And so in order to get rid of the cancer, you got to do the chemotherapy. Mm-hmm. So this specific form of leukemia is super aggressive. And so the treatment for it is also very aggressive. And so they do high doses of chemotherapy over a couple of months to get all of the chemotherapy undetectable in the blood. And that's called induction. And then after induction, and they enter what's called remission. It's not true remission because it's not like the 5 years that you have to be cancer free. They go into post-remission therapy for 3 years. So this is the standard of care for this kind of leukemia. And if you don't do it, it'll kill you. And if you don't continue on the chemotherapy, the cancer is so aggressive that even if you get into remission, the cancer can come back very quickly. And he had that happen to him already, where she stopped treatment for him and then the cancer came back. And so what happened was she got into a fight with them in September, I think, or August. And she decided that she was going to just completely stop chemotherapy because the doctors told her it was out of his system. Well, the doctors did an emergency court injunction and contacted CPS, and a judge signed off of it, and she lost custody of Nicholas because her plan was to take him out of state to Florida for this holistic bullcrap that was going to kill him. And doctors felt like she was going to kill him if she took him there.
Mm-hmm.
So she takes him back into the hospital. Huh?
Oh, I've got a question just about the finish with the story, but then I want to ask about how it kind of goes down.
Well, here's how it all goes down, right? So in September, this is when it all happens. In September, she decides that she's not going to do any more therapy, and then the doctors they do the emergency hearing, the judge is off of it, CPS takes custody of him. They show up at his house at 3 a.m. in the morning and take him from his mother. Yes, and then take him into the hospital because she would not bring him to chemotherapy.
Good.
During this entire time, mind you, Candace somehow doesn't renew her lease for her house. So instead of going out and doing the responsible thing and finding a home for your child that's sick with cancer, she puts all of her stuff in storage and doesn't have a permanent house for him at all. So CPS is reluctant to give him back custody because he has no residence and she's refusing chemo. They gave her time to get permanent resident status set up, and she's been without a home, I think, since August, and she still doesn't have one.
What?
Still, no. And so this whole time, so in September, he gets to have a break, right? And during that break, she says she makes this agreement with CPS that she's going to do this complementary therapy that will be the holistic doctors that are in Florida that are going to help keep his cancer in remission. However, she fails to tell them that she's done with chemo. So she tries to pull him out of chemo again. So on October 25th, he was supposed to be back in New York for chemo, and she just didn't take him there. She just was down in Florida.
How's...
Right?
Why do we... Go ahead. I'm gonna get angry.
I know, right? So then she's on her GoFundMe, which has, by the way, $31,000 in account, but she doesn't. No, but she doesn't have permanent housing, and it's for legal fees for fighting a battle that she shouldn't be fighting anyway. Her kid should just be getting the damn chemo.
Oh my gosh.
So so anyway, they basically show up in Florida and take him back to New York and are like, your kid is doing this chemo. And so now Nick is in the hospital back in New York under guardian care. And she had the opportunity to find her own temporary guardian for him, and she didn't do that either.
Why do these people reproduce? Why?
And so she's literally using this platform, and she's all over social media. She's all over GoFundMe. She's had interviews with multiple news stations crying medical kidnapping. She's got all these anti-vaxxers outside holding up protest signs outside of the social services building and outside of the hospital where Nicholas is. And it's all a lie. And she knows that the CPS people cannot comment. At this point, all CPS has said is that they are doing in accordance with Suffolk County law as whatever the guardian said needed to be done. And the hospital is basically saying that this is the standard of care for this form of leukemia, and he needs it or he's going to die.
I'm so glad though that that at least the hospital's willing to take a stance like like this. Like
Right.
I can't believe that. To me, it would seem that sites like GoFundMe or those kind of crowdsourcing sites that are bringing in all this money would be able to step in and either shut that down, knowing where the money's going, or convert it, like maybe put it into trust for Nick in a way that
Right.
she
I mean, because
couldn't touch the money.
I mean, he is still sick, but here's the thing. If he's in state custody, his insurance is all covered right now. Like, she isn't going to have to pay for really any of that, I don't think. I mean,
Yeah.
She's definitely like one of those woo quackers that is going to use quack science. And we all know what happens when people use quack science to try to cure their cancer. They die.
And I think that, I mean, this may be me being cynical, but there's a part of me that feels when I was reading this story that parents in this situation almost want that to happen. Like maybe the kid is a burden they didn't, foresee, and by not pursuing any kind of treatment for the kid, it's almost like they want him to die in a sense. Because why else wouldn't you do everything that you can to keep the kid alive?
Yeah. Being entrenched in the world of chronic illness and illness for children, I will say that a lot of moms get kind of a adrenaline rush off of the high and the attention that they get for this kind of crap.
Yeah.
And
Munchausen syndrome.
Right. Well, yeah, right. But there's also, it's not Munchausen if she's not like, well, I guess it could be, but it's not, I don't know. There's another form of it where, right. There's another form of it too, where they do it like literally just for money. And that's not, I can't remember what the word is. It starts with an F, and it's not Munchausen's, but it's like they still like do all this stuff for attention in order to get money. And sometimes the two coincide, and she could very well have the two coincide. I mean, to me, it sounds like she says she loves him, but then she doesn't want him to have the treatment that he needs. And she very well could just have these very misguided thoughts that holistic doctors can cure him. And I know it happens all the time. I had a friend pass away only a few years ago from cancer that opted out of traditional treatment and died at age 39 by using these holistic doctors. So I know that there's people out there that truly believe it. But in the case of a minor child, it's just, she acts as though in a lot of her posts on her GoFundMe. Do you have the screenshot of her GoFundMe? There's a couple of quotes.
The ones that I got from you are right here. There's this one. CPS brought an emergency removal proceeding.
Oh, yeah. So that was basically like what the doctor said was, our treatment of the child is based on the highest standard of medical care and a result of the collaboration with the child's legal guardian who directed the child come back to NYU Winthrop Hospital. So, that's basically the only thing the hospital could say. Was there another one?
Yep, it was as far as I'm
concerned.
Oh
yeah, so this is her GoFundMe. Okay. Yeah. So here she's going on and on and on about how CPS is the bad guy, and their decision making is they have a political agenda, and they don't like her personal beliefs, and so they think she should give chemo, but she's the parent, so she thinks she should be able to override it. And she says that if she's giving him medical care, they shouldn't get an opinion in his care. She almost treats it like he's her property. And I don't know, she's like, they are not medical professionals, they don't know us, and they will never understand enough to properly make choices for him. They lied to me, they lied to his dad, they lied to everyone. They're incompetent, they don't return our calls.
But I'm sure that these CPS workers are in contact with medical professionals. Like, they don't just arbitrarily make these kind of decisions.
CPS is involved because doctors contacted them.
Right.
And then CPS had to place a guardian who then works with the doctor and is following doctor's orders, because the state is always going to follow the medical guidelines of the practitioner.
Right. They lied to me, and Nick's dad. What did they lie about?
She says they lie about everything. I mean, that's the thing. She's very delusional.
They all say that.
Right. And the thing is if you dig through her GoFundMe, all I see in it is a lot of me. It's not
Shocking.
a lot of Nick. It's,
Shocking.
you know, it's, you know, Nick is her vehicle for attention. And, you know, she's still begging for money yesterday. And it's like, she's $31,000 in there. And she's like talking about how she needs $15,000 for an attorney. And it's like, you know, if you just gave this up and let your kid have medical care, you wouldn't have to have this fight. But she's probably going to end up losing her kid because of it.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing too, that I don't think it will like hit them what they've done until after that point's been crossed, you know, until they've lost.
Right.
And she no longer has that avenue for attention. And I think once all that wears off, she's going to be in a really dark place that she 100% deserves to be in, you know, if she continues to go down the path that she's going. This is just outrageous.
It is. And like, I end up getting sucked into these cases because I truly understand what it's like to have doctors give you prognosis for your child where you are going to hear really big, scary things like brain surgery, heart surgery, you know, lifelong treatments, and it's overwhelming. But,
Right.
you know, when your child is sick, what I've learned is that you have to kind of put your woo bullshit beliefs to the side and realize that there are amazing things that modern medicine has figured out because of science that enables children to beat these types of diseases and these leukemias. I mean, this is an extremely aggressive form of cancer that he ultimately could go into remission for. I mean, 50% of the kids that get diagnosed with this end up living past 5 years. That's not horrible. I mean, it's not great, but you know, it's still better than zero if you would do nothing.
Right. And it's a you know, it's a child that you brought into the world that you're supposed to put yourself, you know, ahead of. And
right.
to be able to sit there and watch your kid waste away knowing that there's a viable option, and for whatever reason, it's a common theme. We saw it tonight during the flat earth debate. They get this idea in their head that they've been lied to, like no one else ever gets lied to, or like, you know, we're all not lied to on some level. Like, we all get lied to about things all the time. Yes, sometimes the government does lie. Sometimes, you know, they may tell you a different story, but it doesn't discredit everything. And you can't go and put somebody else's, you know, if you want to do your own health, that's one thing. If you want to, you know, forego your own well-being because you distrust the man, then great, more power to you. But you can't do that with other people's lives, other people that you're supposed to be in charge of.
No, and there are state laws in the state of New York that protect minors from parents that will refuse care. So that's the thing, is that there are laws in place to protect children from parents making these kinds of decisions. And doctors can step in and make the choices for the parent without the consent of the parent. And I mean, those types of laws exist in almost every state. I mean, I've dealt with situations with my own son where he was on life support and he had to get blood transfusions without our consent. And it was done because he was dying. You know, like, sometimes there are things that are going to happen where a doctor is going to do something to try to save your child. And, you know, most rational parents are going to be grateful for what those doctors are doing. They're not going to act like these doctors are, you know, spiteful and mean and trying to hurt her son. I mean, these doctors are doing everything they can along with CPS to actually save this child from his mother. And the poor kid, I feel terrible for him because his mom, you know, has him so brainwashed, and he's like, well, I don't have cancer. I don't need chemo.
there's something I think to be said about this, like almost like a paranoia cult. There's what I've seen in doing some of these shows where we've had people that believe in just weird, off the wall beliefs. It has a lot to do with a person or a persecution complex almost. Like they sort of get off on playing into the narrative that they know the truth. Like no one else knows the truth. They know the truth, and they're the only ones that can see that everyone around them is lying to them, and it has like really bad consequences, and not just for them, but for the people that are in their care, like in this case, or the ones with the natural births, where the kid could have totally been prevented,
Right. Well, and they're so sucked into that belief system that even when things happen that are bad, they just are completely unwilling to even admit that their choice was a factor in that. Because in order to like admit that, they have to give up their entire belief system, right?
Right.
And
they've always got people
it makes me like, the more and more time I spend in this world, I almost start to feel like deflated. Like these people are never going to learn.
Well, you can't get deflated because we have to be the ones calling out that kind of that bullshit. People who think like rationally and logically and have to be able or have to get out there and call these things out. The issue is not only that they feel the way that they do and they think the way that they do, but that they have other people that they have access to now on a grander scale than ever before. Like there, you can literally sign in and connect with hundreds of people that have the same crazy belief that you do. And
right, social media makes crazy together. Like that. Yeah. Yep. And you create these echo chambers, just like what's happened with the free birth crap.
Right.
And with the anti-vaxxers. I mean, think of how much steam the anti-vaxxers have because they have stupid Larry Cook and like stop mandatory vaccinations.
Right. You have to be able to you have to be as loud as they are in a way, like, and showing where they're wrong. And the moment that one side, that side becomes louder than the other is when they spread. Like when that whole the whole flat Earth thing. I dove into that a little bit and kind of saw where it picked up really a lot of steam 2 years ago, and it was because it found a spot with people who they were either socially awkward, they were jaded, they were paranoid, right. They felt the government was lying to them, and the internet was the perfect medium to kind of combine them all together. Most of them, when you talk to them, they can't even tell you what they feel the shape of the earth is. Like tonight, they can't tell you personally that they think that the earth is flat. They can only tell you what the latest person they're following says, and they try to kind of regurgitate that, and they wind up making themselves look stupid because they are just kind of winging it. It's not that they really believe that the earth is flat. They just like being a part of that group that is edgy and jaded.
Right.
And,
I mean, that's the same thing with these free birth communities and these, like, it's like they can't, the group is part of their identity. And, you watch them share completely unscientific information and talk about diseases that are really big deals, and they just minimize it and say it doesn't really exist. Or, with anti-vaxxers who, if the media and the news report that there's deaths for measles in the anti-vax groups, they're like, oh, that's fake news. That doesn't even really happen. People haven't really died. That baby's still alive. I mean, and then they have 100 other thousand people that are saying, yep, you're right. That's totally a lie. Yep. And so it creates an echo chamber of toxicity, and everyone becomes more and more delusional, and it's really hard to reason. And, it's funny because going back to the Daily Beast stuff is she asked me, like, why do I write about this stuff and why do I care? And I'm sitting there thinking, like, if you know something is scientifically true and you know that there's data and facts supporting your position, and you see people like completely negating logic and making choices that can not only harm themselves but harm children and like the wider community, and like with what the anti-vaxxers are doing, you have to make a statement and you have to speak out, because the mass media is not talking about this at all.
And it doesn't help when in today's society when the president is on the side of statements like alternative facts, fake
Right.
news for the and Francesca makes a great point in the live chat. She said that she does think that extremism on the left isn't helping quell the extremism on the right, and that is 100% accurate. We um,
No, yes, because some of these, I mean, some of these free birthers, they're extremely liberal.
yep.
These are like hardcore leftists.
And
And the
my
hardcore leftists are just as toxic.
my thing is I side a lot with Bill Maher when he talks about PC culture. Like the left goes so far in its pursuit of not offending anyone that it winds up for those who are on the right and maybe kind of teetering on the fence, it shoves them further right because you have a ideology that wants to make it where you can't really you have to walk on eggshells all the time, and nobody wants to feel like
Right.
that. So it winds up making everything more radicalized. So I'm 100% with him on that. I think that people, as
Yeah.
somebody on the left, you have to stick to the major issues and the ones that are pertinent to everybody's life as they're living it now, and stick to those, do those right, and not sort of push uh, your PC culture in a direction where it's just going to make things worse, and you wind up undercutting your entire objective. You make a big deal out of a small issue, and that winds up
Right.
undercutting your
Well,
entire.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's like the whole feminism that, like, I'm a feminist, right? And there's radical feminists like the
right.
free birthers, and that's not feminism. When you completely start talking about men as like the patriarchy is horrible and this and that, like, true feminism doesn't want to like tear down patriarchy. True feminism just wants an equal footing, right? We just want men to give us a place and have a spot and be having jobs and getting paid the same. This isn't about completely dismantling the whole world and making a matriarchy. You don't have to have one or the other. It's about bringing balance.
Yep. And the it we're in a society now where you can't be in the middle anymore. Like you're almost forced to
No.
take sides, and the reason that it's that way is because the loudest and often most extreme parts of any ideology are always the loudest. They make the most noise, and so your ideology winds up getting pinned on the actions that they commit. Like with feminism.
Right.
If you say feminism now, most people think, like you just said, in the crazy, I want all men are just terrible. When that's not necessarily the case. That's a small percentage of the larger feminist group. However, people hang that feminist title on around their necks because they're the ones
Correct.
making
Correct.
the most noise.
Well, and
So
they're the ones making the most ludicrous decisions, and they're the ones that are the most embarrassing, and they're the ones that are saying the most ridiculously stupid things. And it's like, come on. We can exist in a society where men and women are equal without hating men.
yep.
And we can change culture and, get rid of rape culture and boys will be boys by working together. You can't,
hmm
I mean, replacing patriarchy with matriarchy does nothing.
And there's a lot of these ideologies. I think that you can take something from both sides, and that's what I mean
Mm-hmm.
when I say you're almost forced to take a side. It's like
Yeah.
you can't you won't be you'll be accused of apathy or not caring enough if you just say I can see what side A is saying, and I can see what side B is saying, and I'd like to take an idea from both of those and combine them and make a plan C. But now nobody wants to hear about plan C. They want either you're all in for this cause or you're an
Right.
enemy. And so it's just a mess, and it
It
seems to be getting
is.
worse, especially with
It
YouTube,
does.
because there's channels and top 10 countdowns and all kind of stuff dedicated to exposing the issues with the opposite side that you have, and it's just, I don't know. I don't see how you make it better, because we're getting more closely connected every day, so
Mm-hmm.
it's easier to kind of engage in that nonstop, from whatever social media platforms you're on, who you follow, that sort of thing.
Right. And it can get, I mean, you can easily get sucked into it too if you're not, there are times during the day where I'm writing or, you know, people are blowing up my something about something and I just have to put it down and be like, this does not matter right now.
Yeah, it's it's tough, but I'm glad to see that in this particular case that the hospital steps up. Now, like I was saying earlier, I think that what should be done as far as those funds go is
Yeah.
for somebody to intervene and lock up that GoFundMe money
Right.
and put it in a
Like who
trust
knows
that,
what that mom is using exactly.
right.
Sorry.
No, I mean that's exactly right. Like she's probably blowing it on things that have nothing to do pertaining to Nick, and that's why
Right.
I think that somebody, either the company or something, should, because the people that donate that money are donating it to Nick, not to her. I can almost
Right.
guarantee you that. So if I had donated money to Nick and I knew that it was going for her for anything other than um, the care of him, I would be pissed off. And I think that they should put that in a
Yeah.
trust or lock it up.
I know since I wrote the story, several people have reported the GoFundMe. And listen, I don't know anything about whether it needs to be reported or not. That is never my intention. My intention with sharing the story was that this mother was clearly presenting a very one-sided, you know, story. And it took me less than an hour of digging around on her Facebook and through the GoFundMe and through different statutes within the laws to realize that this case has nothing to do with medical kidnapping and seriously just about saving this kid's life. And I hate these types of cases because the parents always end up pretending like they're the victims. And there are families like mine where my kid is sick and I'm doing everything I can, and I still have to deal with, systems that are bogged down because of stupid parents like her.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes my life more difficult. And she's making her son's life more difficult by not helping him. And then, you start to think about once he is well, if he goes back with her, what is she going to brainwash him with?
At, I don't know. It's a bad situation all the way around, because he's going to
Yeah.
be dealing with this
He's very
for,
sick.
right,
Yes.
and with obviously where her priorities are placed, he's not going to get. He just doesn't have a good shot. He doesn't have
Mm-mm.
um, that kind of support that I feel like you need in something like this. Like, she's actively
No.
campaigning against his medical care. I mean, how more fucked up can you
Right.
get than that?
And he believes that what she's doing, like he said in the news report, like my mom doesn't want to kill me. But he doesn't like understand. He's 13.
Of course,
So of
of course,
course, he's going to say those things. I mean, any child that loves their parent is going to defend their parent.
absolutely.
And he also doesn't, he doesn't have the understanding of that, the choices my mom is making are really crappy.
Yeah, because that's an instinct thing. You never think that, or it's not a natural thing to think that your parents are trying to kill you or doing things that are in any way other than the best decision for you.
Right.
I just can't wrap my mind around her thinking. Like how she can justify any of this is just crazy.
I don't either.
So let's close out on a little bit lighter story
Okay.
with the voyeur thing, and then I have a surprise for everyone after the.
Oh, okay. This story is, yeah. So there's this guy in, oh my gosh, when did I write this story? Yesterday, 2 days ago? A pastor in, what state is it? I don't even
Let's say
remember.
Florida, because Florida is always Florida has a 40% chance of being correct.
Oh my gosh. So there's this pastor that was arrested, and this story is actually kind of like, so the guy was so stupid. First off, so the guy's a Christian teacher, so he works at a school and he teaches, and then he's also a pastor at another church like down the street. And he drops his USB device or
Uh-oh.
UBS, is it UBS device
USB.
or USB? I don't even know, because like who uses them, right? Like nobody uses those anymore.
Everybody?
And no, I don't ever use those.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, go ahead.
well, like a stick, that like he put information on. Like I don't
Yeah.
use those. Well, I guess
I
I
have a shit
don't.
ton of them with the graphic stuff
Oh well,
all
do
in
you
them.
have porn? Do you have porn on your
You
sticks
damn
or
right
what?
I
Just
do.
kidding.
You damn right I do. You want me to send you one?
Okay. No, no, no. So he drops his device in the parking lot, and a student finds it, and picks it up and brings it home and says like, "Mom and Dad, I found this," and Mom and Dad like pop it in their computer, like trying to hoping to like if they dig through it, they can figure out who the owner is and return it to the owner. And they open up the device and start finding all these graphic images of girls with like stuff like up the skirt, like where he was like filming little girls with a camera up their skirts and
Now, when you say
staff.
little girls, what do you mean by what age are we talking about
Well,
here?
school age. I don't know. Like he was out of school, so 7 to
Oh, see, I didn't know that
14,
about this
maybe.
story. It's a child porn story.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, so it's I don't like this isn't that much of a lighter story.
I know. I just thought it was I thought it was just a voyeur. I didn't. Okay. Anyway, it still needs to be told.
Yeah, so he ends up, and I have an article, so you guys can actually read. I don't even remember what the guy's name is. I write so many articles that I forget what I write after it's out. And I wrote this one yesterday. And so there's like tons and tons and tons of images of like girls and staff members, and he zooms in on the boobs and on the vages and on the butts. And then they find a bunch of like where he was in the classroom and found a way to like film up the skirts of the girls.
Ugh.
So I know. So the police figure out who he is because he accidentally videotaped himself.
Lovely. I love it when stories end like this. I love it when.
I know.
Oh man.
Oh man. And you know what sucks though is like with all of that, there's like tons and tons and tons of images. Like I think they said over 100,000,000. I don't even remember. And like the maximum he can face in prison is like 5 years, and then he could have like a $10,000 fine or a
How's
$10,000
how is that
fine.
possible?
Like it's just voyeurism. That's like what he's charged with. He didn't unless they uncover that he actually like touched someone. Like
But that's child porn though.
I guess.
Would it
Well,
be?
like here's the thing: is additional charges could be added. But at this point, it's just one count of voyeurism.
Whoa, that police station needs to get on the ball then.
Oh, it's in the state of Washington.
Oh, what's going on with Washington today?
I know. Where are all the stories with Washington?
You're letting your
Like
freak
normally
flags
we're over on
fly
the.
this week.
I know. What? Yeah, I totally forgot it was in Washington. Yep. So I had to
Um,
go to the Washington State like stuff.
oh man. Well, I saw a video the other day, and I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. It's so bizarre and so just weird to hear So I thought that I would share it with you guys. I knew what we were going to be talking about tonight, so I thought we would end on a some laughter. This is a good exercise for all of you that are watching right now that are either pissed off or saddened by some of the stories that you heard, because this promises to be the way to rid yourself of those feelings and just shake it off. So let's. And let me make sure that you can still hear me. Can you still hear me, Katie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Were you putting a video?
Yeah. And I'm gonna cut in and out so that I don't get copyright hit with a copyright on this, because I don't know how it is. But this is called laughter yoga, and the scene is this lady leads a yoga class and with a group of people who are either they're dying from cancer, they have a terminal disease, or they're overweight, and this is a way to kind of get through it. But I just want you to see how awkward it becomes when people start naming off some of their uh, illnesses and they get laughed at. Okay, so let's hear.
Then what I've done is combine it with the ha-ha mantra, which is you'll say your name and then say something that happened recently to you that normally would really bum you out, and share it with us and we'll laugh at it. So it's that whole psychology of, turning lemons into lemonade.
All right, so
Okay?
let's turn
So
lemons into lemonade.
and I always start and say, here's how it looks. So, my name is Gita.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, just wait.
Oh, and I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Very good, very good. Yay!
Oh
Anybody
man.
else want to share?
So let's hear.
Yes. Very good.
Let's hear.
Acquired insulin-dependent diabetes.
So she has diabetes.
I was diagnosed with MS 19 years ago.
Very good.
My name is Dee Dee, and I have arthritis and diabetes.
Are you getting creeped out yet?
Very good. Very good. Yay!
All right.
Yes.
There's laughter.
Yay!
Oh man, it's some kind of creepy, but I mean it's just there's one lady that gets up there and she's like, my name is Diane, and they laugh at her, and then she said, and I was just diagnosed with breast cancer, and then the whole room just erupts in like
Aw.
laughter. I know it's like, no, you're not supposed to laugh at this, but I understand what you're doing. I mean I do, but it doesn't
Oh,
work. It doesn't work.
no. No.
So, okay, well, that was fantastic. Thanks for joining us.
Yay!
Do you have any
Yeah.
thing that you have coming up this week, or anything to look out for?
Oh my God. Do you think I ever have things planned out?
It's part of the charm.
Oh man, I don't know what'll happen. I'm working on, I've got a story coming up soon. I just have to grab screenshots of a little baby died and anti-vaxxers were attacking it, and I was able to connect with mom, who is basically, the anti-vaxxers are saying that the baby died from vaccines, and I asked the mom to make a statement and she made a statement, so we're gonna put together a boom.
Well, it's almost Christmas
Screw
time,
you.
so we need to get you out of the death thing for the holidays.
I
Okay?
know.
Let's
That's all I get. That's all people give to me, and people like to read about dead babies.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a lead here, and I have
Okay.
I have one of these people coming on in December. And maybe I can put him into contact with you. But for the holidays, you need to write an article about the adults who still believe that Santa exists.
Yes, I do. Oh, yes, you are so right.
And I also have another seasonal person for you too that doesn't believe autumn is real. That autumn is a hoax.
What a weird thing to believe.
Huh? Look, I'm going to show you so that you.
Like they just drew the line in the sand, like autumn doesn't exist.
Well, looky right here. Let me show you. Let me bring this up. Okay. Did you see that?
Yes, autumn is not fake.
Autumn is fake.
Oh, you know what is coming up this week? I forgot. My birthday.
Oh, no kidding. What day?
Saturday.
Yay.
I'm gonna be 40.
Oh. Look, I can't even.
No.
I can't even. The thing is, though, see, you don't look like you're going to be 40. You look like you're going to be about 32. So no one is going to feel sorry for you. In
No.
that. I'm sorry, Katie. No one's going to feel sorry for you.
My boobs look like I'm gonna be 40, but the rest of me.
I guarantee you, they don't. So
Oh,
enjoy it. Enjoy that
yeah.
fountain of youth
Okay.
that you have.
Okay.
Um,
My husband's taking me out, and I'm going out with one of my best friends and her husband, so hopefully it'll be fun.
he better take you out.
Yeah. I know they
Yeah.
wanted to do a party for me, and I was like, I don't like people enough to have a party.
Uh-oh. You are old then.
No, I'm actually just like a massive introvert, and I know I'm friendly and stuff, but I don't know, I just crowds. I don't really love
It's fake,
being around
right?
a lot of people. Yeah,
It's fake.
I would much rather rather just be in like a small group where we can connect and talk and have good conversation.
Amen. And speaking of which, this week, tomorrow, Sargon of Akkad and Adam Kokesh. Isaac Arthur, who everybody's been asking about, will be here on Thursday. Then we have Mortimer 81 on Friday. Maddie's Paradigm, who believes that hell exists in the center of the earth and is expanding, causing the planet to heat up, which is the reason that we have climate change, obviously. Aaron Ra versus Jason King next week in a debate. And then the next week, I have a guy that is convinced that dragons still exist and he can prove it. And
Oh my gosh.
we'll be tackling dragons next.
Oh
So,
my gosh. What day is it on?
well, the dragon one is the 21st. The day
Oh.
before it's our pre-Thanksgiving spectacular.
My son is obsessed with dragons. I have to watch this.
Yeah, I go watch Game of Thrones and you'll probably learn more than you will with this episode.
Oh.
We'll give him a shot.
Oh my gosh. My son has a feeding tube and he has these little like covers that go around the tube that like help get some of the discharge and kind of protect him from the button. And he has Game of Thrones ones.
Oh, that's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that.
Because they have dragons on them.
I like that. Very cool. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff coming up, a lot of weird stuff coming up, and we'll see you tomorrow with Sargon of Akkad and Adam Kokesh as they're going to be debating over the capitalist system and what is that? Anarcho-capitalism, maybe. One of them feels that we should defund everything and pay for it ourselves. If you watched Adam Kokesh in his last appearance on here, he wanted to put the roads in the hands of the locals, and if, in his words, if Bob wanted to get up and fix the road one day, Bob could do that, and then the community would pay him back. Sounds like it would work for me. Work for you?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we'll find out tomorrow, and thank you as always for being here, and don't fall for the pseudoscience, okay?
Yeah, seriously, guys. I promise next week we'll do something light.
Yeah.
I actually can't make that promise.
We'll attempt to make that promise, guys. We will
Yeah,
look
we will.
we will look into the details of that promise. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you, Katie, as always, and we'll see you
Thank you, Kyle.
tomorrow at 8. Good night.
See you guys.
I am remembering that I have to close the last couple of episodes. I've just sat here
Yes.
waiting on the but I'm gonna do it this time. All right, and away.